Gameday, the post-game show, brought to you by Superbook Sports, HelpMyGamblingProblem.org, and AJ Michaels. After the Ravens get a terribly uninteresting 31-24 win over the Cardinals, I am Glenn Clark. Ken's already here. Ken Zales is here with us, and I think Andrew Stecca is trying to check in right now from out in Glendale, Arizona, where I know he was at the game today. Reeta is at the game. She's going to try to join us. I guess she had a little bit of an iPod or an AirPod issue. So she'll try to check in at some point. And allegedly, Femi is going to join us, although I don't know where he is exactly right now. Andrew Stecca, you look nice and looks like it's nice and sunny out there in Arizona.
It's a gorgeous day out here, my friend. About 70, 78 degrees.
Ah,
Breeze. It's a perfect October day for some Ravens football.
and yeah, and you got such a perfect performance from the Baltimore Ravens too. Right?
Wouldn't say that, but it was certainly certainly a performance. Of all the performances, it was definitely the most recent.
That's exactly what Ken and I were saying.
Yep.
Said
no question.
This officially is recorded as a game that happened. That's exactly what I can say about this game. It is a game that happened, and the Ravens won it, and that's, I guess, really all that matters. Since you were there, give me your thumbnail. What did you see? What did you think? Was it uninspiring for you?
Yeah, extremely uninspiring. I mean, but you take advantage of what's given to you. They scored 14 points off of those turnovers, and that proved to be really important. That's kind of it. It was very business-like. That's about all I can say about it. It was. This is not an atmosphere that's gonna really pressure you into to much, but this was what it was. They came out here, business trip, got the job done. That's kind of all they really needed to do, and I think that's what was expected.
All right, let's bring in the Super Bowl champion, Femi Ayanbadejo, who is with us once again. Femi, you probably won't be surprised that most of us are sort of a little uninspired by this performance, but you are supposed to be the voice of reason for us. So should we be more inspired by just going on the road and getting a win, no matter what it looked like or what the circumstances were?
I mean, I think when you look at it from the big picture, they played in London and then they came home and had a really emotionally charged game against Detroit. This is kind of the NFL season. You just want to win the road games, and definitely uninspiring, definitely not the kind of energy that you wanted. But when you look at it in totality, it's a win. It was ugly, but we'll take them. Winning on the road in the NFL is really hard to do. And if you look at around the league, you can see teams that Atlanta was supposed to probably win today. They didn't win. Kansas City didn't win today. San Francisco lost at home today. So there's a lot of parity in the league. Overall, uninspiring. I'll take the win all day, every day. Always celebrate a win on the road, but not to give them a pass by any means, but I understand it to some degree. It kind of makes sense. It's what I expected.
I can that doesn't feel like I'm being gaslit. Like, that feels like a legitimate answer, and you cover all the bases that matter, and I'm good with that. We'll get more in depth. I just want to give everybody's immediate reaction. I'll go to Ken next. Ken, your reaction.
Yeah, like you and I talked before we started. It was uninspiring. They didn't, look. The defense was terrific up until the fourth quarter when, the game was really over and you're just trying to get to the finish line, and gave up some touchdowns at the end that really didn't matter. Offensively, they're just out of sync.
Didn't matter to you, maybe. Okay, mattered to some of us.
It mattered. It mattered in the sports books. It mattered for that. But I mean, as far as win and loss, Femi said it right. It's uninspiring. It's not what you were looking for after what we thought was the best offensive performance by far of a Ravens team against a Lions team we think is pretty good, versus a 1-6 team on the road. It's a road win. You get out, hopefully you get some rest soon, and you don't have to travel like this at any other 3-week span the rest of the season. And you start to look better. But Lamar was a little off today. I think that's fair. I know he started off really accurate, but the play calling again to me was confusing in the first half. They didn't really try to go downfield a whole bunch. They didn't try to do anything that we saw in the Detroit game. But you know, you know, Femi and I are going to probably agree on this a whole bunch today. A win's on the road, and
Yep.
Around the NFL, you saw teams that you thought were good didn't get it done today. So,
I'm gonna ask, so I think, look, I largely agree with everything that both you guys said. And Femi, I feel like I'm in this place where I think the question I'm asking myself is, do I feel like the Ravens made progress today? Do I feel like they continued to progress? And I almost feel like after I ask that question, it's an unfair way of asking the question. And I think what you're saying is so important, which is this is the NFL, and winning on the road is very difficult in the NFL. And so if we're judging it by anything other than did you get the job done, it's probably an unfair way to go about judging a performance.
Well, you try to extrapolate the future from what you see in the present, right? And if you project that out and that type of energy and, just the inconsistency, you don't see a Super Bowl at the end of that road. I think that's the lens that we look at this through. That's the analysis that I look at this through. I also understand, though, that teams evolve or die. I understand that there's a trajectory that is not non-linear at times. It's not going to go straight up with a great, slope that's going to make you feel like it's impressive and improving every week. It could be 3 steps forward and a step back. It could be another 2 forward, another 2 back, and then 3 more forward. I think the competition matters. I think the rest matters. The travel matters. I think there's a whole narrative of things that are mixed in a pot. And it's really hard to understand week to week how those different things that are pulling at a team are going to affect it. And, I said it earlier, KZ said it too, it is hard to win on the road in the league. And a lot of teams today that you thought were going to win, that were favored, either didn't cover or didn't win. And that's just the reality of the situation. So I'm not going to overreact today, because what I saw today is what I expected. Just being in NFL locker rooms, playing 11 years in the league, being around teams for 2 decades. Unfortunately, we're human. And every once in a while, we think our bodies can show up. And if our bodies will just show up, and our minds and emotions will follow. That is not always the case.
All right. Trippy, I'm going to come to you, bro. But first, out in Glendale, Arizona, where she's still looking for her AirPods somewhere, is our girl Reeta, who needs to unmute herself. Reeta, unmute yourself so we can hear you, friend.
I'm unmuted, friend.
All right.
I'm trying not to get the ambiance. I do not have my AirPods on, so I have to apologize about that.
If anybody knows where Rita's AirPods are in the state of Arizona, please report them back to her. Please help our girl out. Reeta, what we've been talking about is that, sure, it was uninspiring today. It wasn't an emphatic performance, but this is the NFL. You got to win on the road. The Chiefs didn't win on the road against a bad team today. So you kind of take it. Where are you at big picture with what you saw after you flew across the country to watch it?
This is what I expected. I think Wardell and I talked about this on the Winning Drive podcast. I mean, if you paid attention to the Cardinals, they're a very pesky team. They're not a good football team, and I think that's largely due to talent. But I think that they're a coached well football team that if they get talent, they'll be a better team. But as of right now, they don't have that, right? But ultimately, I think that I think statistically, because I believe they were like they were 26th, I believe, in pass defense and like 20th maybe in run defense. But overall, I just think that they're better sometimes than what the statistics show for them. I mean, we've seen what they did against the Cowboys, and I just feel like they are a team that hangs around. So for me, I just knew that this was going to be a game that it was going to be pesky. So outside of what we just saw at the end with the whole onside kick thing, I just felt like that was the game that was going to happen. Now, I thought that they would cover, but I thought 10 points. I felt like they would probably win by 10, 2 scores. But ultimately, this team is just one of those teams that just doesn't quit. You know what I mean? And you just got to put them away, and you can't let them linger around. So I don't feel – yes, the Ravens have a lot of cleaning up they need to do. But I guess coming into this game, I felt like the outcome that we saw was what was going to be. So I really don't know how to feel about this because the league is week to week, and y'all know that.
I don't disagree. I feel like we're all kind of saying the same thing in different ways, right? Like you'll take it. Like you take it. It's a win. You take a victory. You deal with the fact that it's not perfect. I don't think anybody took a step backwards today. Femi, am I wrong about? Was there anything that you saw that I mean, we can talk. We can nitpick again, and we will because we'll get there. But I don't think anybody took a step backwards today.
No, I don't think so either. I think that I think Reeta hit the nail on the head in regard to what the Cardinals are. I think they got some athletes out there that can play. They got a couple skill guys that can do some work. They got a couple guys on defense like Budda Baker that are nice, So they're going to play hard, and they got a lot to play for because those guys, I know when you're 1-6. I don't know if I've ever been on a 1-6 team or 1-7 team, but your job is on the line. Everybody's up for anyone's ticket can get pulled when you're 1-7. The only person I know that's going to probably be there is Kyler Murray and the head coach because Gannon just got the job. You know what I mean? So he's not going anywhere. Everybody else is replaceable. So I understand why the Cardinals played the way they played. I understand why the Ravens played the way that they played. The energy and emotion just wasn't at the level that it needed to be, but we're humans. We got to restore. We got to replenish. We got to rejuvenate, right? I mean, the Ravens need a break. That bye week can't come fast enough, in my opinion. Do they play in where do they play? Seattle next week?
Seattle at home.
No, they're back correct. Home. They're back
Seattle
home.
Yep, Seattle and then the Bengals right after.
Okay, good. So right on time to come home and have a home game. And Seattle's no joke. You saw what happened. Cleveland went in there and lost. They had a lead in the fourth quarter and lost. Like I said, Kansas City lost. Right. A lot of people thought that Green Bay would show up today. They didn't show up today. Everyone thought Atlanta would show up today. Atlanta did not show up today. You know what I mean? Washington had a lead at home, blew it. You know what I mean? So. It's just the league, and you guys know when I'm trying to have a good time and I'm being playful, I'll do all that, all those fun and games. This is the middle of the season. It's grinded out time. I'm just about that business. I think they're about that business, and I'm okay with what happened today because they got the win. That's all I really cared about.
Go ahead, Reeta.
Real quick, I just wanted to piggyback on what Femi is saying because at the end of the day, because of the season being as grueling and long as it's been. Sure. I think that you have to take the ugly wins the way that you can, and I think that really good teams find a way to win those ugly games. And sometimes great teams, you see Kansas City lose to Denver today, big time. On top of that, and we kept hearing, how dominant they've been. And Denver's not a good football team, but sometimes things like those that happens. And I think that if you are able to scrap out wins the way that the Ravens did, where they didn't play incredibly well. They didn't play poor either, but it wasn't like, we feel like that there were some great things that happened today. It just, kind of happened. I think that that's important because the season is so long. You got to take the wins the way that you can, and then you just work on the things later.
Trippy, we're 0 for 5 getting anybody angry. Can you get us angry instead? Can you come up? You got any fire in your belly today?
Does anybody have fire in their gut?
Yeah, you got some fire in their gut? Don't get it twisted.
I mean, we played decent. Like, I was hoping that we proved everybody wrong playing to lower competition. I mean, we still, same old Raven stuff. But, I mean, we got the dub. The defense still showing out. Geno Smith got interception. I mean, what more could we expect? I'm just hoping that the offense can – I mean, I don't know. It's like an up and down – it's like an up and down week every week for real with the offense. I don't know. I mean, they did decent. They did decent, though, but I mean, I'm happy with the win, but I feel like the offense could play better, though. I don't know. I don't know.
So Trippy is so uninspired. Trippy is like the most positive dude on the face of the planet, and Trippy's just like, I don't know. It happened.
I'm really waiting to hear what Femi guys say, though. That's what I'm waiting for.
No, you know what that was? Wait. You know what just happened right there? He was waiting for an opportunity to say Femi. That's what really happened right there. Trippy was waiting for an opportunity to prove that he got it right this time around.
But no, for real, though, I want to hear what Femi guys say, because, I definitely rock with my guy, though. Like, whatever he agree with, that's what I'm on, though. But, I mean, I'm happy with the win. I feel like we could have used Zay Flowers more, but, I mean... Hey, I guess maybe it wasn't his, his turn this week, but I'm ready to be back down the bank Sunday, man.
I get you. Let me real quick, because I want to get into a couple things. Hey, what company has the expertise and technology to make your home substantially more energy efficient, comfortable, and even virus-free? It's AJ Michaels Heating and Air Conditioning in Baltimore and Annapolis at ajmichaels.com. So this is the last time the Ravens play before the deadline. A lot of reports. Femi, we know at the beginning of the year you were all aboard the Jonathan Taylor train. That went away. We talked more about running backs. The Ravens, according to multiple reports, have been in the market for running backs, including Derrick Henry, although reportedly the Titans now say they're not going to trade Derrick Henry at the deadline. Gus Edwards, as the game went on, seemed to get better today, right? Like in the second half when the Ravens needed to run the ball, Gus was really good. They, again, at the beginning of the game, didn't seem to run the ball a ton out of the chute. Where are you at with what the actual need is at running back at this point?
Yeah, I mean, it'd be good if there was a back that had some dynamism to him that we could get and that could do something explosive. But I think he's on the roster already. I think
it's Keaton Mitchell.
I do. I think it's Mitchell. So there's not really many holes. There just really isn't. And I was thinking about this earlier. If Derrick Henry was available, I'd be happy with him. But maybe, like I said, we'll go back to where you and I started this conversation a couple of weeks ago with a pass rusher. You wanted a pass rusher. You thought that would be beneficial. Hey, you can never have enough of those guys. Adafe got dinged again today for a minute,
Yep.
So I don't know. I feel like if there's a pass rusher available, and once again, you can never have enough corners either. Offense is different.
Did you see the report this morning that apparently like the best offer on the table for Montez Sweat is a 3rd-round pick?
I didn't see that.
I would do that in a heartbeat. I mean, like, what?
But what's this? I think the salary is the question, though, right?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. It is. But I don't know, man. Montez Sweat is a hell of a player. Let me take a look at how that.
So you're suggesting that you'll be good with the rental for the 3rd round.
I would 100. If the idea that you think you would be getting back a 3rd-round compensatory pick for Montez Sweat afterwards, like,
okay. That's a valid point.
Worst case scenario is you're swapping a late 3rd round for a compensatory 3rd round. Like, I do that tomorrow. You know what I mean?
Like, even if you get a 4th back for him, I'd do it tomorrow.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. I would even do, if you need to do a 3rd rounder and a late round pick swap in order to make it happen, I'd be willing to do it. It sounds though like, Femi, you're kind of saying you're indifferent a little bit. Like if they make a move at the day, we had this conversation on Wednesday night. Reeta and I did on 105.7 The Fan. Like in baseball, we talk in the terms of like this season, the Orioles, we felt like they had an obligation to make a move. They had an obligation to fortify their roster in order to try to go make a deeper run. We never talk about the NFL trade deadline that way, right? We never use that term, in part because the NFL trade deadline was never really a thing for a long time, right? But this is a team that does have a viable Super Bowl chance. Do they have some sort of obligation to at least attempt to improve their roster in the next couple of years?
The thing is, you're not going to know if they attempt or not because you're not going to be privy to that. So the deal has to be the right deal. So because you don't know the outcome isn't the outcome that we or somebody may collectively want, it doesn't mean that they're not trying, right? So there's no obligation. The obligation to me is binary. It's a yes or no. I don't see it that way. It's got to be the right deal for the right person, and obviously the time is expiring pretty quickly here. So. Give me scenarios of people, I'm not saying that like literally right now. If you were to say this person, that person, and kind of show me what the requirement was, I could give you an answer on it, but there's nobody jumping out at me other than Derrick Henry at this point.
All right, let me go around the table. Reeta, I'll go to you next. We're 2 days away. What would you want to see him do?
I mean, if you could get Montez Sweat for a 3rd. Hey, send that tonight. Can he ACH it like right now? Like, go ahead and do that because, like, I'm with Femi in the sense of like you're never without enough guys up front. You're never without enough corners. So I'm doing it. I am curious though, Femi, in your opinion about this. I thought about this because now that Jonathan Taylor has a new deal, would you be against maybe Zach Moss for a later round pick?
No, I wouldn't be against it because Zach Moss impressed me against us. He ran that ball hard. He can play.
And he's played well.
Yeah, he's played well. He's probably not as powerful as Gus, but a little shiftier for sure. You know, so I wouldn't be against it because Gus has been getting that work, right? He got hit. He got popped pretty good a couple times today,
Right.
So, and he has the newscaster. If you guys are listening to the broadcast, the guy was talking about Gus. Like people forgot about him. Well, he's been hurt for the last 2 years.
Right.
And he just got back in the mix. So yeah, people around here know who he is, but the reason why his name is fallen out of talking circles is because he hasn't been available. But when he's available, he's excellent. He's not flashy, but he runs hard. He's consistent. He's reliable. You trust him. He's a good guy, good locker room guy, good teammate. So we know who he is in Baltimore, but I mean, I feel like there's not a guy that I'm like, go get that guy. You know what I mean? And like I said before, I got to know the deal. We can talk hypothetically and we can talk about all kinds of scenarios that sound good. The Montez Sweat thing, if it sounds too good, it's probably not true, right?
It's probably not true. I mean? Yep.
So,
hey, can I chime in real quick?
Go ahead, Trip.
Yes, you can. But
what do you want to see him do?
Hold on, real quick, guys. I gotta go.
Sorry.
Gotta go. Andrew, I'm gonna text you. I gotta go though, because I don't have my AirPods and I'm with my brew. So.
All right. Reeta, we love you. We will see you on Wednesday night at 105.7 The Fan.
Yes, guys.
All right.
See y'all Wednesday.
Love Reeta. Yep.
Love you too.
See you, friend. Crippy, go ahead, bud.
All right, so look, this is what I want to say, right? After seeing the day, don't get me wrong. Hold on, just a little bit. Don't get me wrong. Like Gus Edwards, he's not he's not a bad running back, but he don't have like that shiftiness to him. Like I saw a couple times where it's though, like we had like a young shifty back. He might have would have broke that first tackle. Like I would love a pass rusher, but we just need like a running back that could be able to because I'm even we do good and we get like a number 1 seed. I don't think I can trust us going into the playoffs just with a Justice Hill and Gus Edwards. If y'all get what I'm saying, maybe I might be wrong, but that's just my opinion because I'm looking at it like I wish we can get Jonathan Taylor because like on a couple plays today I saw when he just hit the hole, it's just like boom, he's gone. You feel me? Like. Oh, I miss JK.
Unfortunately, they don't make those guys on. That's what Femi was trying to scream at us a couple weeks ago about how special Jonathan Taylor is. You just can't come up with Jonathan Taylors as far as skill set is concerned. I'm with you, bro. You know.
I'm sorry, y'all. This is the time I miss JK. I'm sorry.
I feel you.
We all miss JK. My fantasy team misses JK too.
Ken, where you at with the deadline?
I think you need a pass rusher, somehow, some way.
I mean, it's objectively hilarious. It's so funny because I've like been leading this trade, but it's objectively hilarious that's what we're at, right? Like we all keep coming back to pass rush.
Don't take credit yet, dude. You're only there because it's the only position that I think makes sense.
Right.
I mean,
okay.
No, but like I said, it's a team that has 31. They have 31 sacks.
Yeah, but you can never have enough pass rushers.
And that's where we are. We're all still saying.
But you don't have that consistent guy, and you're relying on guys that, like today, like if Clowney and Van Noy, as they did today, really don't get pressure, you're relying on the middle of the pass, the middle of the line, which has been great this year, but it's not. You don't have that rush end right now that you just have to account for, and. Look, they drafted Oweh to be that guy. He's not that guy. It is what it is. Ojabo is hurt. Clowney and Van Noy have been great since they've been here, but you're relying on them for a lot of snaps, and I'd like to take some weight off of them so they're a little fresher down the stretch and into the playoffs when you're really going to need it. I just think you can't have enough of those guys. I'd love to see a corner. I'm not with you all. I mean, I'm with you all on the running back. If there's a special guy, and Jonathan Taylor to me is a special guy. I hate to say this. I don't think
you're agreeing with me. Everything you said, I said the exact same thing.
What a world!
Here's where you're going to kill me, Femi. Here's where you're going to kill me.
Derrick Henry.
I don't think Derrick Henry's special anymore.
Okay, well, you weren't watching the game against the Ravens when he took off down the sideline and the corner didn't catch him.
I get it. He has some moments. He's not that consistent. I'm scared every time he gets the ball. Now, when he gets the ball, he's going to break a run here and there. But
why is that? So, KZ, let me ask you a question. Why is that? Though? Why is he not scary to you? I know the answer.
I two things. One. He's got so much yard, so many carries.
That's irrelevant. He's running.
No.
That's not relevant.
What I saw. Let me finish. What I saw last year.
I'm sorry.
No. What I saw last year was a guy in the second half of the year that didn't have that fleet of foot that he had early in the year because they were relying so much on him. Look, he's I'm going to kind of contradict myself. Yes, he's still a threat on any given touch to do what he did against the Ravens, but It's the other 19 carries you have to give him in a game that aren't leading to much now.
He's not coming here to do that. He's coming here to be a combination back with one of the most prolific dual threats in NFL history. And KZ, the reason why he's not doing what he did 2 years ago is because the offensive line in Tennessee is terrible. Put him behind this offensive line, I guarantee you see a difference. Guaranteed.
That's fair.
I would ask the same. I think one of the things that we've talked about this week, and Femi, I don't know because I don't get to watch them every game, is how much of the story of what's going on is simply the defenses don't respect Ryan Tannehill and continue to just stack the box and stack the box.
They've always stacked the box against him, but the offensive line in Tennessee was a top 5, top 10 offensive line for 3 or 4 years, and they're like a bottom 15, bottom 10 offensive line now. Hence the fact that every quarterback behind them gets hurt. Now, Will Levis looked great today, and Will Levis is athletic, but you saw when it counted what happened. He hit the ground. He hit the deck when it mattered. He didn't want to take that sack. And I don't know if you guys saw the game, but I watched every game today at some point. And I'll tell you right now, Tennessee's offensive line is terrible. That's the issue with Derrick Henry. As a former running back, I can tell you based on explosion, and Derrick Henry was never a jukey guy. He was always about getting his momentum going forward. He can't get his momentum going forward. He's getting hit in the backfield. When he had a chance to get his momentum going forward, I saw it 2 weeks ago. He showed me everything I needed to see. When he had that ball in his hand, he was faster than everybody on the field around him. He ran by the corners. The only reason why he got caught was he got leverage to the sideline. Marcus Williams, our safety, couldn't catch him. You know what I mean? So I think that Derrick Henry, with the right offensive line in the right system, with a player like Lamar, with backs like Justice, hopefully Keaton Mitchell at some point, and Gus Edwards, a good power punch, good power combo, he could be a difference maker with us. He may not be a difference maker in Tennessee, but he could be a difference maker here at the right price.
And certainly, again, worth pointing out that the Titans allegedly, according to Adam Schefter, told Derrick Henry they're not trading him. Now, as we all know, this is subterfuge season, right? This is you don't want to tip your hand in any way if you're trying to make a deal, but that was the word, is that they told Derrick Henry he won't be traded. Andrew Steck, anything that you have on your wish list for the trade deadline? Andrew, hello, you're muted. Yeah, mute. You got to unmute yourself.
Hello.
Sorry, we
Yeah.
have some fans walking by.
Hello.
The vibes are out here on the lawn. I'm pretty indifferent on a trade, honestly. I think this team has what it needs, but can improve to have what it needs at this point. If they want to add someone like Derrick Henry, I would prefer to see a pass rusher than a running back, just because I'm kind of in that camp as well. But like they've done the past few seasons in adding pieces at the deadline, those have tended to work out for the most part. So I'm just going to kind of put my faith in the front office to do what it thinks is fit to set this team up for a run, and go from there. But I don't think there's anything drastic that needs to happen. It's just a matter of slogging your way through a week-to-week NFL season and picking up the wins where you can, kind of like today.
God, you're boring. Could you try to fire the coach or something?
I know, man. I'm sorry. Look,
man.
I will say this with the running back. I mean, because of Gus's and Hill's history with injury, I mean, I'm not against adding one.
Yeah.
I think at what cost, I think, is the question. Like,
it's what cost, but if
you,
if you're the Ravens brass right now and you're looking around the league, I mean, you're kind of saying, why can't we win the Super Bowl? I just, you're at 6-2 right now. Look, Cincinnati is coming on, but you just saw Kansas City go to Denver and get trashed.
Well, and importantly, you have a win in hand over the Bengals, right? Like
I just think we kind of said it. You said it right with the Orioles. You kind of felt obligated, but you also want to take advantage of those moments in time. Last year we felt great after 7 weeks, and then Lamar got hurt.
Hey, KZ.
There's no trade. There's no trade that's going to fix that if that pops up again.
Yep, that's correct.
No. But what I'm saying, I understand that. I mean, that is what it is. But what I'm saying is, you're in this moment of time. If you're looking around after 8 weeks, why not go for it? Why not empty everything out to go for it this year?
Hey, KZ, I want to chime on what you said, right? because I kind of agree with Femi was saying, right? Like, if you look at Derrick Henry, right, like, we can go back to the 2019 game. Like, ever since that 2019 playoff game, he was still doing his thing, but a lot of teams, like, was basically, all right, this Derrick Henry offense. Even when, like, the Titans wasn't doing nothing, they always depended on him. Now, with, like, a trash offensive line like the Titans got, I mean, like Femi said, how can you, like, he never been a shifty running back. He always was, like, more on a, go. You know what I mean?
So that's a weird thing. Femi, I'll come back to you. Hang on a second, because I gotta make sure I remind everybody. Glenn Clark 23 is the code when you sign up at superbook.com or download the Superbook app. Use that code, and you'll get up to $250 in a same-day first bet match, win or lose. Right now, Lions -7.5 on Monday Night Football against the Raiders, despite the fact that they got shellacked a week ago. If you're feeling away about that, go sign up right now. Because what Trippy just brought up, and what it feels like we almost have two different feelings when we talk about running back. We say we could use someone maybe a bit more slippery, a little bit more elusive, someone who gets the outside, maybe more of a pass catcher. But then we talk about Derrick Henry, right? Like, and Derrick Henry's he's a different breed. He's special in what he does, but he's not Saquon Barkley, right? Like, they're obviously two different types of players. What is specific that the Ravens should be looking at if they're looking at running back at the deadline? What is the exact skill set they should be looking for?
So see, the issue, Glenn, with your question is that you're assuming that it has to be, okay, you're asking the question about slippery and elusiveness versus power. Derrick Henry is a special kind of back.
No question. No question.
I'm not talking about a skill set. I'm talking about a human being and a player.
Yeah.
Okay? That guy I want. There's no one else available. There's nobody else. There's no difference maker out there. The only difference maker didn't play today. Keaton Mitchell, in my opinion, potentially is that slippery guy. You have him on your roster already. So I'm not really looking at specific skill sets per se, although if you can find a pass rusher, like, was it Montez Sweat, right?
Montez Sweat, man.
Yeah, if that's true, then but I'm talking about Montez Sweat, the human. He has a skill set that's unique. Derrick Henry is a human with a skill set that's unique. I'm not looking for skills. I'm looking for people that fit a mold that get me to a Super Bowl championship. Now, if you tell me the person, I'll tell you if they fit in here. But it's not just about a skill set. It's about the quality of the person and what they bring and how they complement this team that is ascending.
Again, this was a report from NBC Sports this morning that said that there's only one team that's been ready to make a move on Montez Sweat, and it was the Falcons, who have offered a third-round pick. So
that's different than what you said. They offered a third-round pick. They didn't say that it required a third-round pick. That's a big difference.
No,
Atlanta offered a third-round pick.
Right. That's what's on the table, though. That's what's out there.
But if they really wanted to give him up, they would have given him up for that third-round pick already. But they're waiting because to see
if they could do better. Well,
right,
but then there's the awkward conversation of, like, are they going to hold on to him despite the fact their season is not going to go anywhere and he's not under contract long term?
I don't worry about things I can't control, nor do I can't answer. I don't worry about that.
So yeah, go ahead.
This is last year, though, right?
Yep, it's the last year of his contract. So that's what I'm.
So my thing is, like, I mean, you can tell he already upset, right? So I know the Commanders can choose, like, just to keep him, but why not get some draft assets for him right now? Like, no matter what it is, like, why knowing you're going to lose him? You see what I'm saying?
But I guess it comes to what would the price ultimately be? You know what I mean? Like, and that Femi, I think, is fair. If the price, if they could have a third-round pick right now, it's because they want more than a third-round pick. And if they continue to wait this thing out, so what's the length that you're willing to go? Because as Ken and I were talking about earlier, I don't know if it was a third this year and a fourth the following year, I'd still probably be willing to do that. You're running the risk of losing one of those picks altogether for a half a year of Montez Sweat if you aren't able to sign him. I would think the Ravens don't have a lot of future investment that they can count on as far as edge is concerned at the moment. I don't know why they wouldn't be interested in signing Montez Sweat, much like when they traded for Roquan Smith a year ago and they attempted to sign him and got it done. I don't know what the limit would be, right? Like if it was a second-round pick for Montez Sweat without a guarantee that you can sign him, is that too far for you?
I mean, the Ravens don't have a second-round pick.
Oh yeah, that's right. We don't.
Or do they have one?
No, they lost their second round last year, but they've got their second round.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah. No, I don't know. I think we're, and I appreciate the exercise because we're only playing with the chess pieces that we know about. But
right.
Eric knows all the chess pieces on the board. I'm just going to trust him to make the right decision. Is a second round pick with a guy who's on an expiring contract, I don't think he's going to make that move unless knowing he's going to be here and going to sign a long-term deal. But do they want to sign him to a long-term deal? I don't like. There's a lot of if-then like kind of decision making here that needs to take place. I think it's a little more complicated. And I know we're simplifying it for the sake of the exercise, but I need more information to give you an honest and informed answer that's going to make sense.
Admitting that I don't have any of those answers, right? On paper, what I know of Montez Sweat, the football player, I would say, yeah, I'd probably be willing to deal. Because, again, you're thinking worst case scenario is you're dealing a second and you're getting a half season of Montez Sweat when you feel like you have a chance to win a Super Bowl. And if he walks, you're probably walking away with a third-round pick anyway, right? So, like, if I move back one round from late second to late third over a half a season of Montez Sweat, that math feels like it works to me. Again, I'm the dumb guy. It's easy for me to say that.
If that's all it requires, that might work. But I'm not convinced that that's all that it requires. We're playing with house money right now. We're playing with Monopoly money right now.
I get it. All right, let's do a little good and bad from today's game. And I want to start with the question that nobody wants to talk about. Should we be upset that Justin Tucker missed a 53-yard kick indoors and is now 1 for 4 from beyond 50 yards this season? I say upset. Let's be fair. We're still talking about Justin Tucker. I'm not trying to be crazy about this, but the standard is greatest kicker of all time. The standard is we've worked under the assumption every time Justin Tucker took the field. Look, at the Jaguars game, we thought he was going to make a 67-yarder to win it. We were all stunned that he missed that kick. Is the standard at all changing a little bit for Justin Tucker? Andrew Steck, it seems like you want to jump in first.
It's the watch list part of it. He's on the watch list at this point. I mean, and like you said, it's the standard. There's nothing. Nobody's ever going to hold anything against him, but at this point, you got to start to pay a little bit more attention to these kinds of things because, as we know, father time, blah 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 blah. I mean, it's definitely something to start to pay attention to, but there's no panic buttons being hit here at all.
Femi?
I think Andrew said it real nicely. I've been thinking what he just said. I've been like, man, I'm not as. I gotta be respectful of this man's past work, right? But what you've done for a decade or however long he's been playing, it's great when we tell stories, but I don't really care about the past at this moment. I'm appreciative of it. I'm mindful of it. But what I care about is what's down the road and what's happening tomorrow and the next day and the next day and so on and so forth. So I'm a little more nervous than usual when he's out there now and I see a kick that's over 50 yards because, like you said, it hasn't gone the way that it normally does. It's been so automatic. It's been so consistent. Probably taking it for granted at times. I'm not concerned isn't the right word, but Andrew said it. I'm on notice to pay closer attention to see what's going on.
Right.
I get a little anxiety now that I didn't have before. And it's because he's been so good. Because the sample size that's made us nervous isn't that big of a sample size, to be honest, right?
No, it's what we're talking about 1 for 4 from beyond 50 yards. And wasn't one of them particularly wasn't one of them a 60-yarder of the 4? Am I remembering that correctly? Yeah. So I'm not trying to pretend like this is, the guy's falling apart or anything.
No. I don't think anybody's saying that. I think, and I don't think you even need to say that.
Yeah.
I think we're all, me and Andrew are the only ones that have talked about it. We've handled it, I think, in a very level and respectful way.
Yeah, it's you're watching it and you don't feel quite the same. On the good side today, I don't know what else there is to say about Michael Pierce. My God, man. Like, what a freaking story of a dude.
That boy balled out today, didn't he, Glenn?
Trippy. We had Trippy knows we had Mike out for the Tyus Bowser show a couple weeks ago, and I've been close with Mike for years. And Ken, you and I almost got into a fight a couple weeks ago because of the hurt guys get hurt thing. And I think about guys like Michael Pierce who played 11 games over 3 years, right? And it'd be easy to write that dude off and assume that, he's never going to be impactful ever again. And he's been having a great season to begin with, right? Like, he's been really helpful. And then today, I thought was the best player on the field for the Baltimore Ravens today.
No, he's been fantastic. And at a time when, I talked about this a little bit earlier where, sometimes your outside pass rush isn't getting it done. Him being the guy that's getting that push, he's becoming that guy that, he can handle 2 guys in front of him and makes everybody else better because of it. So, yeah, it's great. I mean, he's always he's a guy that you root for because he's always been that great guy. It's great to see him having success this year and staying healthy. Because it's what it was always about. He's always a good football player from day one. The first time the Ravens ever set eyes on him, they knew it.
Yeah, no, it was a great story the first time around, and I think it's a really cool second chapter for a guy that's been through a lot over the last few years and has proven to come out on the other side. It's been remarkable. Femi, what did you make of the anger that we saw from Odell Beckham after the pass interference?
I've been seeing it on the sideline for a couple of weeks now. He's frustrated. He wants to perform. I think he expects a lot from himself. And I don't know how healthy he is. I mean, obviously he's out there playing. Just hasn't had a real chance to make the imprint and impact that he wants to make, I think. And I think that's the frustration, and I understand it. As long as it's not directed at anybody and everyone knows that it's him blowing off steam and it's more frustration and anger, whether it's at himself or at the penalty or a combination of the two or frustration, as long as it's channeled the right way, I'm all good with it. And it seems like it's being channeled appropriately thus far.
I feel like the comparison, and I don't want to make the direct comparison because I think it went south with Marcus Peters, but a lot of times you would see this with Marcus Peters, and I couldn't know what the line was between this is good competitive fire versus this ends up becoming problematic and looks demonstrative and becomes tough. Where is the line between those two things?
Hey, Glenn, I wouldn't say that, though, because, like, the difference between Marcus Peters, like, we knew he can perform, right? But on certain plays, it wasn't a guarantee was he going to make the tackle. Now, with OBJ, I kind of feel where Femi coming from, like, you can see the frustration with him. You got to think about it, right? If you look at the Instagram posters, oh, we want a refund. Man, this man a fraud. He always injured. And I like what I see so far because, what more can you expect from him? But, it is kind of crazy. Like, every time he trying to get the ball, the DB holding him or something. So I can see why he's frustrated. Like, he could have had a touchdown like the last 4 games, to be honest with you. But I don't know. But
I have a question for Femi because when I saw that today, I even said to Glenn, I said, what's he frustrated about? He just got his team the ball at the 1 yard line. And I just didn't understand. I understand wanting to make plays, but you made your play. That's as good as a catch, isn't it?
You're oversimplifying it. You got to walk in this man's shoes. This dude was one of the most.
I'm asking you.
No, yeah, I know. I'm telling you how to understand it. You're saying you don't understand it. I'm trying to help you understand it. You gotta think about being one of the most dynamic receivers to ever step on the field in the first 5 years of his career. He just stepped on the field and plays happened. He just opened his hands up, one-handed snags, all kinds of things. He was untouchable. And in his mind, he's still that guy. And I don't know if he is or if he isn't, but he wants to prove that he's still good. He wants to prove that he came here on a mission to prove something, and he's not able to do it. That's where his frustration comes from. So as a fan and as somebody who's being analytical, yeah, you can sit there and say what you're saying. You're not wrong. But if you put yourself in his body and his mind and understand what he wants to do for this city and this community and prove his value to Eric DeCosta and these people that went out on a limb and paid him this money, that's the frustration. It's deeper than that. It's more complicated than that. You know what I mean? Okay. And I tend to say this. Okay. I tend to say this quite a bit. We have conversations on here and we oversimplify and almost tweak the conversation to fit the narrative that we're talking about. Not with maliceness or negatively, but I just want you guys to remember we're talking about human beings. We're not talking about a skill set. We're not talking about a guy slamming a helmet for no reason. We're talking about like real people that have dreams, goals, and missions still, even though they're at the peak of the mountain. And that's not good enough. That's what got them there. So a lot of the stuff that we see ties back to the desire to be a performer and to make an impact. That's the biggest thing that I think leads to things that we see.
And I think, Femi, to my point, like I think if that's what it is, it's the competitive fire thing. I feel like most everyone, any coach will pull you aside and say, I want that. I want my guys to care that much, right? Like I want them to want to be great that much. I just don't know when it seeps over the line a little bit and ends up becoming problematic for anybody. And I do feel like we got there a little bit with Marcus Peters.
Okay, we'll know when it crosses the line. The fact that we don't know if it's crossed the line means that it hasn't crossed the line.
There you go. I'm good with that.
Yeah.
On the plus side, 2 weeks after we were all critical of Rashad Bateman for running the wrong route against the Titans, Rashad Bateman stole an interception away from Lamar Jackson today. I thought that play in the first half was maybe Rashad Bateman's finest moment as a Baltimore Raven. That was extraordinary, him going back to come up with a catch on that ball.
Yeah, no, it first of all, he had the end around too, the sweep. That was great. I still think his best play was the 76-yard touchdown against Miami, the slant that he took to the house.
That's fair. Yeah.
But I'd say based on how this game turned out and how important that play was in the moment, it was one of the biggest plays today. That's for damn sure. I mean, we needed that today because the offense was just flat. I mean, Gus Edwards was doing work, and Mark Andrews did some work early for sure, and the offensive line was definitely doing some work, but it was never pretty. And I think this is the thing, right? We have to remember. Arizona was rushing 3 and dropping 8, hence the fact that we were able to run the ball down their throat in the second half. But they decided to play coverage, and they figured, look, Lamar runs, we're going to rally to him, right? These receivers, we're just going to let them catch it in front of us. We're going to tackle them. We're going to try to force a fumble, or you're going to try to get a turnover. Unfortunately, their game plan didn't necessarily work, and Josh Dobbs was throwing balls to the wrong people. So, it all kind of worked out our way. Good teams find a way to win. Teams that aren't that good find a way to lose, and I think that was a perfect example of what happened today.
Couple of things on the list. Andrew, I don't know what Andrew was doing. I thought he was supposed to be keeping the field and keeping the grass in good shape out in Arizona. It looked awful. Can you explain that to us, Femi? Like when we see grass that looks like that, like how difficult that is for players? Like what is that really? Because we all can see it and say, God, that looks terrible. But what is that actually like?
I mean, the appearance isn't so much the issue as it is the surface itself. Is it slick? Is it not slick? Can you predict how your cleats are going to respond? Do you need longer cleats or not? Arizona, I played in Arizona for 4 years. I mean, that field is pretty darn nice. I don't know what's going on with it now. It looked really slick. Maybe they're having some Taylor Swift shows out there and then playing a football game on the same grass. I don't know. But yeah, like I threw that in there, right? Anyway, we have way too much Taylor Swift in the NFL right now, and I just.
Well, Travis Kelce had a disappointing day, so it's all you're going to get all week. Yeah, you're going to get all week.
Let's forget I even said her name. Right?
Yeah, way to go.
But in general, though, he was out here in March. That's quite a distance for that.
Yeah, no, I'm just wondering if that field was being used for something else, recently, other than football. That's all I'm saying.
It was awful. And we saw the one sack that Ronnie Stanley gave up. Did you think that was just a footing thing? Did you feel like that was just him losing his footing there?
I mean, it just can't happen.
Okay.
I don't know. It just can't happen.
I feel like I was trying to give him benefit of the doubt, and Femi's like,
no. I mean, hey, it may have been, but it just can't happen. I mean, what are you going to say if it happens in the fourth quarter with 2 minutes left? Oh, man, it was my footing. I mean, come on.
That was the only thing, because he played so well last week, right? Like, Ronnie was so good last week that, like, if there was one thing that was maybe a little bit step back, I didn't think he was quite as dominant today.
I felt like the offensive line as a whole, the run blocking was pretty good today, but the pass blocking was nowhere near the same as it was last week, in my opinion, from what I saw. You know what I mean?
Was it at all interesting to you that they were not early in the game? They weren't trying to run as much. Like it seemed like back-to-back weeks.
I did think about that. Yeah, I thought that they should have done that earlier on. I felt like that would have been a good tempo setter. And I think when you're feeling a little lackluster and you've been traveling on the road for a couple of weeks and you've gone over to Europe and you've come back and you have a big game at home and you beat a really, really good team from the NFC, I think running the ball gets your mind right. And it kind of eliminates the bad things that could potentially happen. You run the ball, you set a tempo, you get a tone going. Guys get used to going forward. They get some energy, and then you start doing some play action. You got to run the ball to do play action. And if you're not running the ball, you can't really do any play action. You just stepping back at 5-7 step drop, and it gets a little predictable and almost, you're tipping your cap a little bit, your hand a little bit, not your cap, your hand.
Right. I say this, and quickly I remind everybody that if you or a loved one has a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Go to helpmygamblingproblem.org for free confidential services. Ken and I were not happy that Nelson Aguilar did not hold on to the onside kick because we have gambling problems, and it cost us covers in that moment. What does it look like when a guy doesn't hold on to an onside kick? Like, is everybody cool about it? Like, hey, this could happen to anybody? Or is that a particularly difficult one this week when you guys look at it on film?
Man. I mean, I think that if I put myself in Nelson's shoes, you're put out there for a reason to do a job, and he got caught on the in-between and he waited for it. You got to go up and get that.
Yep.
Because the bottom line is once it hits the ground, all bets are off. That ball can go anywhere. At least when it's up in the air, you can predict its trajectory and where it's going to go. It's coming to you. Go up and get it, right? Once you waited, game over. And I saw that second bounce. I was like, oh, no, anything can happen at this point. So, yeah, they're going to have a conversation with him for sure. But it's so hard to simulate the intensity and get like that was the best onside kick I've seen in a couple years. Like, let's think about this a minute. It was perfect, right?
It was spectacular.
Yeah.
Like
so I'm just saying that like when you get it that good and you get someone to hesitate, I mean that's kind of what you're looking for, and exactly what you wanted to dial up is what you got. So I don't know if that's going to happen again this year. I hope not, but
God, it better not happen in a 1-score game. I know that much. Oh, yeah. God. Thank God that happened in a 2-score game if it's ever going to occur, and not in a 1-score game, because it would be a nightmare. That was basically everything that I had on my list from the day. As we all kept saying, it was just sort of a game that occurred. It was a game that happened. It checked the box for a team en route to what it is that they're trying to accomplish, and I think I'm good with that. Did anybody else have anything that they wanted to get in?
I just want to say on. Go ahead, Trippy.
I was going to say we got some comments.
Okay. Yeah, please, by all means, Carson, go ahead.
He just muted himself.
Oh yeah, right. I think he's going to try to share them with us.
Oh, I got
via the screenshot. Yeah, I think that's what he's going to try to do. Although this is the magic of. Yeah. All right. No feeling them out. No feeling them out, Lewis says. I'm not sure what you mean by that, Lewis. I'm being totally honest with you. No feeling them out. Is that so? Lamar, I will tell you, Femi, Lamar said at the podium after the game that he thought they should have ran the ball a little bit more early on in the game. And I don't know if that's what Lewis is trying to say by saying no feeling them out. Like that at the beginning of the game, it just felt like they were throwing the ball. Although they did go down and score a touchdown on the first drive. So I don't know how critical can we be about that if the result works.
Yeah, you know what it is? I think we're caught in that place where we're spoiled and we've been wanting perfection, and we've been wanting to see this new look offense just kind of come out and look like it looked last week every week. And then we were on such this high after last week, right? And we go to London and we win a game, and I just feel like this is the natural cycle of things, right? Like everything's not always going to be, like I said in the very, very, very beginning, it's not always going to be this perfect slope upward of improvement. You know what I mean? It's going to be, It's going to be nonlinear. It's going to get sideways. It's going to look ugly sometimes. Today's that perfect example. So yeah, is Lamar right? Yeah, I think he's right. Maybe Coach Monken is going to have a little bit of a different explanation for why he did what he did, but I'm very reluctant and reticent to critique certain things when I don't necessarily have all the information, nor am I analyzing the fronts, the blitzes, the coverages the way that they are. I'm thinking that these are brilliant guys, and that if I have the information they have, maybe I'd make a similar decision. So it's hard for me to critique their judgment. All I could do is critique the outcome, and the outcome was good. But where this leads to, right, is if you don't get the recipe right at some point, it's going to cost you a game. And right now, the only reason the Ravens have lost 2 games is because of shooting themselves in the foot. 2 games they could have very easily won, but those are where the real nuggets and lessons come from. I guarantee you Kansas City's going to learn a lot from that loss today. I guarantee you that Cleveland's going to learn a lot from that loss today. Now, if San Francisco's banged up, I just don't think they're at full health. I'm not sure how much they're going to learn from that loss today, but the bottom line is that sometimes you got to get sideways and lose or get lost a little bit to kind of get yourself back on track, because something that gets you half the way or 3/4 or 8/10 of the way may not get you all the way. And sometimes those little critical mistakes and losses get you to see things the way that you need to see them to get to the very end, which is Super Bowl.
Well, and to the point that AJ made in the comments that I'll agree about, like, you know, the best thing that happened today is nobody got hurt, right? Like they won a football game, nobody got hurt. Let's move forward. Let's move forward from there. Be encouraged by it. We're in a good place where we can be almost disappointed by the fact that the Ravens won by what should have been 2 scores on the road. Nobody got hurt, and we're like, it was so. You're in a good place.
Wait, AJ said something positive?
Yeah, right. I can't believe it. So AJ is one of our regulars, and he almost never has anything nice to say whatsoever. So the fact that he said anything even remotely nice, we'll take it.
Yeah, I'm genuinely trying to be level-headed today. I really think it's important. You can't be for me. I'm just saying that, like, no. I think it's fun sometimes when we add a little bit of banter to it and things like that. But I just felt like today was a punch the clock kind of game. And, I think we all came on and we all pretty much said the same thing. Like we all kind of agreed, but I know you have a show, right? So we got to get some nuance and we got to.
I wish I had something to get worked up about, Femi. I really do. I really wish I had something to get worked up about, but I don't, right? Like I would have loved for them to have looked exactly like they looked a week ago. My God, if they could only look like that every football game they ever play. But it's just not realistic.
Nobody's doing that. No team is doing that. Yeah.
So if you can judge it fairly and say they played a football game today, it wasn't perfect. There were some things that I would like for them to clean up a little bit, but they won a game. They were never really all that threatened in it, right? Even the Cardinals' first drive of the game, there were some pretty questionable calls.
That penalty, that was a turnover, basically. I mean, it was third down. That ball was coming right back to the Ravens, and they called a hold on Kyle Hamilton or what? Right. Yeah. What they called. I was like, what? I didn't. Phantom penalty. But the thing is, though, is that remember a couple of weeks ago, I was saying that we were having penalties on offense on third down. We were having penalties on defense on third down. Yeah. Those have really kind of gone away. Like if you really think about the operation is pretty good. My issue today was energy. Really, if I could just break it down to one thing, what really bothered me, it was just the energy. But I understand. I just had you do a bunch of stuff flying here and there and doing this and doing that, playing one of the best. And you're a human. I understand. You can't be a 10 all the time. I totally get it. You got the win. Let's see what happens next weekend against Seattle here in Baltimore.
And the good news for that one is it's a 1:00 game, right? So you get a West Coast team that's going to be a little.
I'm actually going to be in California though, watching it at 10.
Way to go, timing that one out, Femi.
I like that word you said, Femi, energy, because like you could definitely tell like that London trip. I mean, although we got the dub, you could tell it was kind of like the energy wasn't there. Like they wasn't, like usually when they make tackles, they celebrating and stuff. It's just like the energy was like kind of off the day. Yeah. So.
Yeah, Lamar seemed real chill today, like more chill than usual. You know what I mean? Like he normally gets a little animated at some point, whether I'll say maybe he slammed the ball down a little bit. Like this is the thing. I don't need you to act crazy to show me that you're engaged. I don't need you to act crazy to show me you got energy because there's different ways to display energy. I just felt like there was something just a little bit heavy on everybody a little bit. And I think, you know what it is? I think it's the travel. It's the lack of rest. It's being away, having one home game, being gone. You know what I mean? I think that's what it is. I really believe that when they get home next week, I think they're going to have a lot of energy at home next weekend. I believe that.
I'm thinking that Andrew Steck could probably roll because he's like going to the World Series tonight or something like that while he's out there, man. Like how that for timing. All right, I think that's what we got, man. Trippy, appreciate you, brother. KZ, I'll talk to you
anytime, my guy. I see you Wednesday, right?
That's right. We'll be yeah, we're back Wednesday night. It's a short show because of the World Series, but we'll be back Wednesday night on 105.7. Femi, love you, brother. Always appreciate you, dude. Thank you for keeping us in line and keeping us.
Thanks. Hey guys, I appreciate the conversations. I thought we all kind of landed in the same place. I really did. So
I thought it was a healthy conversation.
I feel good this week, Femi, and to say, hey, it's Femi.
He was dying to get that.
Hey, Semi, right?
Hey, Glenn, can I make just make a prediction of the guest this week? Chino Stone.
It's not Tuesday night. We're not doing Tuesday night. We're doing the following week. This week's Halloween. So remember next Tyus Bowser show, we're backing up to November 7th.
I gotta listen.
Everybody's got plans on Halloween night, so we're backing up Tyus Bowser show November 7th back at Guilford Hall Brewery. That's when we'll see you out. All right, guys, appreciate you. We will be back next Sunday following Ravens Seahawks for the next project.